Today's new Pokemon trailer was insane, but there's a ton of stuff that you missed, so we're gonna break it all down. Let's dive in. Yo, whoa, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka Drive. I'm bringing you guys a brand new video today, and today we are diving into the most recent Pokemon Scarlet and Violet trailer, where they revealed a ton of stuff, including the professors and the legendary Pokemon, and even some new Pokemon in general. But there's a ton of things that you probably missed, because I know I missed it the first time, so we're gonna make a great video kind of compiling some of those hidden gems from today's Pokemon announcement. As always, be sure to hit that like button down below if you guys enjoy these videos. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. YouTube tells me that like over half of you guys aren't subscribed, and we're almost at 1 million subscribers, so if everyone here subscribes right now, we'll probably hit 1 million today. So please do that. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, head over to teamshiny.com. We've got great merch there. Check it out. It's amazing. You can use code SUMMER to get 15% off if you pick up 3 shirts or more. So get your closet ready for summer with some sweet Team Shiny gear. But without further ado, we've got about 51 things to talk about for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Let's do it. So we're gonna go in order from the trailer, and then we'll break down some of the stuff from the website afterwards, and I'll add in some little anecdotes in the middle. At the beginning of the trailer, we see some stickers for Drifloon, Hatenna, and Applin. One thing to point out is you see a lot of Scarlet and Violet color themes here with Drifloon and Applin. Maybe stickers come back in some capacity. These Pokemon are probably confirmed for the game. The orange logo on the backpack located there, and then even the pens are Scarlet and Violet colored, which is pretty cool. About 8 seconds in, we see a big heart actually on the water upside down. That could be just related to clouds, although we know hearts were important in last game with Enamorus having some symbolism there. Could just be a shadow or a mountain in the back. We see these new gas station type things. These are seemingly the Pokemon centers. I have a feeling they're going to serve a handful of purposes, but we saw different ads being played, ads being displayed. I'll talk about more of them later in the video, but it seems as though we saw Wingull, some sort of clothing item. Seems like this is a location that you would not only heal your Pokemon, but maybe access potions and Pokeballs and things of that nature. And then there's likely some sort of accessories or clothing shop, or something to do with fast traveling or traveling between the parts of the region. So I think that that's important to note. We see some really cool shots here of both the grapes and orange symbolism, which has been there. It's a split screen. It shows a treehouse and a dome in the back as well. Some people are speculating that these were different, but I think it's just a perspective. I think both games have both the treehouse and that dome in the back, but we'll have to wait and see. You got a nice overview shot of the entire, well, a big part of the region. There's a giant waterfall at the end. Generally, climbing a waterfall is towards post game, so that could actually, or like end game usually, so that could be a symbol of that. They then revealed the professors. A couple things to note about the professors. You got Professor Sada and Professor Turo. For those who don't know, the word pasado is actually past in Spanish, and Turo is futuro, which means future in Spanish. So my Spanish is obviously very bad, but their names are basically past and future, which is a very resounding theme in this, right? And of course the legendaries resemble that as well, past and future, Scarlet and Violet. There's a very, very clear theme here. On the back whiteboard behind them, it's the same image on both, but there's a couple things to point out there. One is that you've got the symbol from Ku's Riddles, the 3 lines on top of each other, which Ku, I'm gonna do a full riddle breakdown tomorrow, but very interesting to note. Apparently the chart where the 2 red circles are is actually related to time travel studies, so that might be worth mentioning as well. But I think there's definitely something here, and I think it's very clear that there's resounding themes for time travel, or at least past and future, which again, we'll talk about later. Then we look at the intro sequence of the starters. This is very similar and reminiscent to the Sword and Shield intro sequence where we meet the 3 starters with Leon and choose what we want. There's a point here that brought a lot of discussion of whether the game says, are you these 3's trainer, indicating that potentially we would get all 3 starters. It's been actually confirmed from other sources that that's not the case, so do not go into this game expecting that you get to choose all 3 starters. It's likely that this is either your rival or friend just kind of making a joke, or thinking that you're the professor or whatever it is, but we're probably not getting all 3 starters. I know it kind of seems that way, but I don't think that's the case. We see some different ads again on the Pokemon Center behind, and then you end up facing your new rival, Nimona. She calls you out being the first fight. So this is the first time your rival will be someone who has already started the journey, perhaps. Generally, you start your journey with the rival. This one, I guess Dawn, technically, she's kind of started ahead of you too, so I don't know. Then you've got a Quillfish ad, actually, on the Pokemart and Pokecenter station. There's a Quillfish on there with a tire. We'll come back to tires later on, but it's kind of funny that Quillfish, like, popped the tire or whatever. One idea that I heard that we kind of discussed on our stream was the idea that, you know, people would, or Pokemon Scarlet would have Hisuian Quillfish, and then Pokemon Violet would have Johto Quillfish, because it's like past and future. And it's very fitting, by the way, on a side note, that we just went to the past for Legends Arceus, right? A lot of really cool stuff. There's some silhouettes on the different Pokemon Center ads. A little tricky to see what it is. Maybe Flaffy. We see Flaffy later in the trailer. Kind of hard to tell. Kind of some of these. Again, there's some more shots later since we're going in order. They obviously confirmed the co-op mode, which is cool. The trainers in the sequence have different colored shoes. So maybe there's different customization options, obviously, which I think we expect. Or there's just easy ways to tell people apart in co-op mode. There is confirmation on time of day, weather conditions, more customization with glasses, hats, pants, so on and so forth. Seems as though sneaking could be back in the game as well, which is good. Here's a nice shot. If you guys didn't know, this is Smolive, the new Pokemon. There's a shot of something in the background. It's probably just a wheelbarrow. We had some fun on Twitter with that. We see that there's a new bracelet with a stone going on here at 109. We'll have to wait and see. We'll talk a little bit about kind of these fractals and the star imagery. Then they show Lechonk. Am I saying that right? Lechonk. I know a lot of people love this little pig. Origin based on a food dish, believe it or not. I'll pass on showing an image there, but the HP bar is above the little pig's head. That could be a sign of these multi-battles like in Legends Arceus, where you face multiple Pokemon at once. Because if you notice the way the UI is set up, the HP bar just is above your, like in the corner for you, but it's above the Pokemon's head. So I think there is going to be a feature where we battle more than one Pokemon at a time. At 128, we see Flabebe's behind the trainer. Very tiny. Maybe there's going to be size differences. Maybe not in the game, because all the Flabebes seem to be the same size. So in Legends Arceus, we saw Pokemon that were different sizes in the trailers. This game may not have those size differences, which would be a big step back in my opinion. So hopefully that's not the case. Then we see the kid with the Toro shirt. This reminds me so much of back in the day when Greedent's shirt was officially shown in trailers in the stadium, and a lot of people speculated what Greedent was if it was a new Pokemon. I think this Toro shirt that the kid's wearing, which by the way you can't get on TeamShiny.com, but this one you can. That Toro shirt, I think it's definitely hinting towards a Tauros form, which ties right into the Riddler so far. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but now we see the three symbols in the Pokemon Station. A blue one, which you probably got the Pokemart. Pokeball is probably Poke Center, and then the green one might be for PC, it might be for traveling, it might be for clothes. We'll have to see. We also see a very blurry screenshot of Ice-Q on the banner, which means Ice-Q made it to the game. And then, of course, we have this new trade animation with Larvitar and Bagon. Most likely, these are version exclusives, and that's kind of what they're hinting at here. Venonat is back, baby. Since Generation 2, it hasn't been in a national Pokedex, so that could be a sign of them mixing up the Pokedex a little bit, showing some Pokemon that we haven't seen much lately back in the game, so that's really nice. Then we see this cool shot on the beach with Toxapex. There is a Shelter confirmed in the back. And then I really found this scene interesting with the Koraidon. The trainer's like running with his hand up, blocking the weather, which I thought was really nice. It adds kind of to the immersion. Then we see some shots of the gym, and I think it's worth noting here a couple things. One, it seems that there's a Sunflora in a garden pot. Why are they showing a Sunflora in a garden pot? Is it actually a Sunflora? Is it gonna be some sort of hint for some love for Sunflora? I don't know. And then we've got the new icon for what the gym seemed to be. You can see it kind of looks like a ship almost there. And then I think it's really worth noting here, this is probably one of the coolest takeaways, is this gym looks like a grass gym at first glance. But if you look at the Pokeball, it's fractaled with like red and green and yellow. And it got me thinking about what if this game, rather than having a grass gym, a fire gym, a water gym, had themed gyms. So the gym was actually like a sun team. It was a grass team. And Sunflora kind of makes me think of sun teams, right? It's a grass type with solar power, so it's good in sun. Sun is a good move for fire types, it's a fire type move. What if it was a theme gym? And we saw that in Sword and Shield with Raihan, who was the Dragon Gym leader, but really he had a theme team. He had a doubles sand team. It was very unique compared to what we've seen. So I wonder if we're gonna see something like that. Some of these flags and imagery look like racing flags. They also have a star symbol from the first trailer that we saw. So some common themes there. Maybe there's some mini games regarding racing. Maybe that has something to do with the gym themes and stuff like that. We're gonna talk about racing and motorcycles soon. There's something going on with the ground gym or whatever this is. It looks like a Pokemon using Dig. And then it's weird because it's like a tower seems to be what the gym is. So that's why I also think there could be some theme teams. And then moving on, you've got this really cool sequence of you traveling through this canyon into the water. I think that is symbolic. I'm pretty sure Back when they showed Zacian and Zamazenta for this first time, it seemed like it was just a random forest, but that forest ended up being a location in the game, so we'll see. We've got webbed feet on one of the legendaries, webbed hands as well. He's got like a wheel in his chest. There's a heart shape on his paw. There's fur on the tail. The Violet legendary seems to have a lit tail. This does tie very much so into the Riddler, which again, I'll make another video on the Riddler, but the typings we are expecting right now are Fighting and Dragon and Electric and Dragon, which lines up exactly with what we've been talking about. The eye's made of pixels for the Violet legendary. We definitely think it's an electric type. And here's the big thing, if you guys didn't catch on yet, these seem to be based on motorbikes, right? Like these are motorcycles, and it is almost guaranteed based on the riddles we've seen and what the imagery here is that you are riding these legendaries. We are riding them throughout the region. I think that they convert, they can surf, they can fly, they can do all these different things. I think these legendaries are key, and you just travel on them throughout the region. And I feel like that's why there's like gas stations set up instead of Pokemon centers and all this stuff. I think it's legit. That's exactly what we're doing. I 100% believe that. We've got this post here, a type of motorcycle that these might be based off of, a Boso Azuku bike. So that's the thing. They're based on the Aztec god Quetzalcoatl. So there could be a lot of Pokemon based on Aztec, Mayan, or South American myths. And then they're also potentially based on fan-throated lizards, which are native to India, which is interesting because we think of like Kaparaja, we think of Zarud, perhaps. So there's some interesting connections there, and maybe that's kind of a tie-in. The cover arts actually have these 4 symbols surrounding the cover arts, which I think is interesting there. And then kind of going back to the legendaries, their names are Koraidon and Miraidon. The legend's names, Korai means past or ancient in Japanese, and Mirai is future in Japanese, which ties to the professor's names of past and future. So the legendaries have the same similar names. And a third dragon, in this case, could be Genzai, which is present. So if that comes to be, we get Genzaidon or something similar, then that's probably what the third legendary would be. It's also worth noting, Pokesutami translated as well, that Ride On, if you translate it from katakana to standard English, would be ride on. So it's basically ride on in the past and ride on in the future. Like, they couldn't hint it any more clearer that that is going to be a key aspect of the game. And one of the most peculiar scenes is kind of at the end with the Pokeball going through the glass and diamonds. Seems very much like an after credit scene. I think it probably has something to do with the legendary, a third legendary, maybe a present legendary of sorts. These symbols also have some similarity to the kind of crystal 6-pointed star icon that's apparent in the Japanese logo. So some pretty important things to mention there. I'm also just gonna highlight on a couple things from the website that I thought were interesting. One, there's a quote that says, "You can experience a new style of adventure with a world that you're free to explore at your leisure and not in any order dictated by story." So that is a true open world, which means that maybe there's no specific gym order. Maybe the teams are scaled based on your progression in the game. And each essential gym is like a new level. So the first gym, whether you go to the one that's all the way across the map or the closest one, is level 15. And then the second gym is always level 25, whichever, it doesn't matter. Which means that they essentially have 8 different teams, which could be amazing. I think that that's actually a dream come true if that's the case. And that seems to be what they are saying here. Palmy is the starter for Nimona. Does she get another one of the starters? Does she get one of the starters that you don't choose? Or is this like kind of the first game where your rival just has a completely different starter than one of the starter Pokemon? It does say that Palmy is one of the Pokemon used by Nimona, but she's got it, and then everyone else kind of has them. So it's interesting. She started her journey ahead of time. So the website does confirm that she's an experienced trainer. So I think that's worth noting. She kind of guides you on your adventures, and she has her Palmy, which is like the Pikachu clone. The website talks about Quaxly using its strong legs to swim freely. The rumors right now are that Quaxly is going to turn into a fighting type evolution, so we've all been thinking about its arms turning into swords and things like that, but perhaps its feet are more important. We'll have to wait and see. Sprigatito could be a little bit of a charm, or it releases a sweet aroma. It rubs its head, and 4 paws, the sweet aroma is released. Interesting stuff. It's got fluffy fur, similar to that of plants. And then Fuecoco could be getting flash fire. Some information about it saying external heat is absorbed by the square scales on Fuecoco's stomach and back. They're converted into fire energy. These scales are always warm, and they can grow really, really hot. And then there's a flickering atop Fuecoco's head, which is a fire energy leaking outside its body, When Fuecoco gets excited, its head spouts even more flames. Interesting stuff. And it is confirmed that Scarlet and Violet allow multiplayer gameplay with up to 4 players. Along with series staples like trading and battling, you'll be able to explore the various locations of the region in these games with other players. You can discover new Pokemon and explore unfamiliar areas with your friends and family, opening the door to an adventure more precious and fun than ever before. And then we've obviously got the new legendaries and then the 3 new Pokemon, Pawmi, Lechonk, and Smolive. Couple things to take away from these. Smolive is normal and grass type, has the ability Early Bird, and makes olive oil. And then you've got Lechonk here, which is a normal typing, has Gluttony as an ability, says that bug types do not like its scent. And then Pawmi, of course, the electric type Pokemon, the starter of someone who is most likely to be your rival. So I think that's that, man. I think we really covered pretty much everything from the newest trailer, but we've still got plenty to talk about on the channel here over the coming days regarding how the Riddler ties in. And then we're gonna go back and look at all those rumors that we've talked about, see if any of them maybe were spot on, give us a little bit more direction on what's coming. Be sure to like the video if you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you think I missed anything in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and don't forget to head over to teamshiny.com and pick up some sweet merch. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm very excited for Scarlet and Violet. I hope you guys are too. I'll see you guys soon.
Peace.